welcome viewers. Right, some topics of or concepts of mathematics can actually, even in their simplicity, become stumbling blocks to a lot of students because of not paying attention to them, and for the fact that mathematics is in a building block. So you don't do B without doing A. And there are some concepts that you will keep seeing in many other topics of maths. So when they get past that stage and not giving it the due attention, now it gets to hurt them even in future. Changing of the subject of formula is one of such topics. So because you get to see this in different areas beyond mathematics, you see it in physics and other subjects that involve calculations, right? So, and what is it? First of all, the subject refers to the particular variable which is written alone, as the dependent variable, the one that depends on the rest. All right. So, like here, A is the subject, V is the subject, A is the subject, L is the subject, and so on. Okay, so changing a subject means you want to write another variable to be the one that will now stand alone and the rest will be on the other side of your equation. All right, so, and that's what we want to do now. And it takes just very simple steps to handle this kind of examples. All right, so for instance, we begin with the first one, solution. Okay, so the first one, we are given that A is equal to P plus PRT. Now, the question is asking us to make each of the variables in the bracket the subject of the formula. So here we are to make T and P. Here we make H and R. Here X. Here W. Here R. Here is H, obviously, because H is the only variable here, and then here is R. Okay, so how do we go about it? Now, for an example like this, I will call for T, your A here. So to make T the subject, this is very simple. So of course, your T is just 1 in the equation. So, and it's standing with some things. So when your variable, the one you want to make the subject, is 1 in an equation, all you need to do is to make sure that everything standing with that particular variable will now be alone first. Then you will now look for a way to now remove those ones standing with it. So here, I'm going to allow my A to start, my PRT to stand alone. And if I do that, I will take this P to this side. And of course, it's positive here. So when it crosses, it will be negative. So that will be equal to PRT. Okay, and that's all. So here now you have PR as coefficient of T. And so to remove coefficient, all you need to do is to divide both sides by that coefficient. So here I will also divide both sides. And so I will cancel out PR. Therefore, my T alone is equal to A minus P all over PR. And that is your solution. So it's that very simple. Okay, now for the second one, let me see if we can do that here. Let me call it B. That's for number 1. That is to make P now the subject. So how do you do that? So now, watch carefully here. You can see that P now appears twice. So in the first case, T appeared only once in the equation, but here your P appeared twice. Now, and for you to make it the subject, you must look for a way to make it to be only once in that equation so that you can make it now to be alone. So, and how do I do that here? I'm going to factorize. And so this is going to be A equal to P plus PRT. So I have P here and P here. I will bring out that P. If I do that, P into P will give me 1 plus P into here will give me RT. And this was why it was necessary that we did the lessons in factorizations, on expansions and all of that. And I will put the link to those videos in the description of this one. Okay, so you could go and check that out. All right, so and that is all. So you can see now it's a product and my P is just 1. So all I need to do is divide both sides by the coefficients here. And so I will have, therefore, my P alone is simply equal to A all over 1 RT, and that is the solution for that. So we go to the second one. The second one, number 2, we are to make H the subject. So in this case, I am going to do for H alone, and I will allow you to do for R. Okay, so what are we going to do? Now, we've been able to explain that when your variable is 1, you need to look away for it to be alone, and then if it is 2, you factorize. Now, if you have a particular equation where there is a fraction, now the first thing you must do is to look for a way to clear that fraction. So here I have 1 over 3, so I'll look for how to clear it. And how to clear it is just to multiply through by the denominator of whatever is a fraction. And so if I multiply through by 3, I'm going to have 3v equal to, if I multiply this side by 3, the 3 will cancel this. So I will only have, and I want to make H the subject. So I've actually achieved the situation where my H with whatever is standing with is now alone. So I will now divide both sides by the coefficient. This will go, and so our H is equal to 3v all over pi r squared. Okay, so like I said, try to do the second part of it. That's for R. Okay, or we can quickly do that. So to get our R, all you need to do is you first of all so do that multiplication. So you get 3v is equal to pi r squared h. Okay, now it's R that I want to make the subject. So I will first of all divide by the coefficients. So that will give me 3v all over pi h. On this side, if I divide by pi h, I will get only r squared. I hope that makes sense. Yes. So now I want to get only r, not r squared. So I will need to move this square to the other side. So there are 2 ways to that. Either I move it to the other side, or I will take square root of both sides. Now note, whenever you move a power to the other side of the equation, the power changes to root. If it is squared, it will change to square root. If it is cube, it will change to cube root, power 4, fourth root, and so on. Right? So if I do that, I am now going to have my r alone will be equal to this square coming over here will now become square root of 3v all over pi h. Alright, so for example 3, we want to make x the subject of the formula. Alright, so here you can see our x has appeared twice. So in the first example, your p appeared twice, but they were together, so it was easy to factorize. In this case, they are not together. One is a numerator, the other one is a denominator. So you must look for a way to see that the 2 of them are together, whether addition or subtracting, and then you can now do your factorization. So to achieve that here, I'm going to try to do cross multiplication. This times this, I'm going to get b plus x is equal to this one times this will now give me a into b minus x. And then I will try to open this bracket first. That will give me b plus x equal to ab. Then this times this is minus ax. Okay, so and at this point, I can now easily try to gather all my x to one side so that it will look like this. So I will take minus ax to this side and take b to the other side. So I'm going to now have x, minus as coming here will become plus ax equal to ab. B going over here will become minus b. So this will now give us x into 1 plus a is equal to. So at this point, you can now divide through by the coefficient of x. You can see our x is now 1. And so we now have x alone will be equal to. And that is the solution to the problem. Right? So that's how to do that. So the same thing will apply to number 4. And I'm going to leave number 4 as exercise. Okay, so quickly, let's go over to example 5. Okay, so for example 5, we have to make R the subject. This is WAEC. Okay, that's our senior secondary examination, right? So very important. Okay, so what do you do here? Now we want to make R the subject. Okay, so first of all, my R is locked into a bracket by one guy here. So what do? I first of all open up that bracket so you can free the R a little. So this is going to give me V equal to, okay, so by the time this multiplies this, you will get that. Okay, so you can see the brackets are gone, so it's much easier now to simplify. So what do you do next? Remember what I said when we were here, that once there is a fraction, first of all, remove that fraction. So I'll try to clear that fraction there by multiplying again by 3. So if I multiply everything here by 3, I will get 3v here, pi h cubed. Here we will now have our 3v. So I will try to now make sure that where my r is will be alone. So I'll move this guy. So if it comes over, it becomes plus pi h cubed is now equal to 3 pi h squared r. And then immediately I'll divide both sides by 3 pi h squared, which is the coefficient of r here. So by the time I do that, this will go away. Therefore, my r is equal to, that is our solution. So when we have d is equal to, this is number 6. So the same way you treat brackets, that's you treat squares, powers, that's also how you treat square root. So square root is covering the h that you want to make the subject. So you need to clear it first. And so to remove this square root, we move it to the other side. And just as I said that when powers cross equality, they turn to roots. When roots also cross equality, they turn to powers. So this is square root. If it crosses equality, it becomes square. If you have cube root crossing equality, it becomes cube. Okay, so this is now going to give me, let me put it this way, and then that's equal to 3h over 2. Okay, so at this point, you can either cross multiply or just multiply 2 by the denominator here to clear the fraction. And if we do that, we are going to get 2 times this is 2d squared equal to 3h. And so to make h our subject now, we divide both sides by 3. And by the time I do that, my h alone will be 2d squared all over 3 as the solution. Okay, so and then finally, the last example here. Okay, so watch the last example there. We are to make R the subject, and it's also from WAEC exam. Now, why is this very necessary? Examiners would always know that some students would always fall to the trick of trying to cross multiply here immediately. But you know you can't cross multiply. You know they do something like this, cross multiply. They will now write RT is equal to 3P plus S. But is this correct? And the answer is what? No, it's not correct. Why is it not so? Because the r here is just the denominator of 3p. Now, for you to cross multiply, it has to be the denominator of everything on that side. But your s is just on its own. So what are you supposed to do? There are 2 things we can do here. One is to either make r the denominator, that's to get the LCM of these 2 things, or we can choose to clear the fraction, just as I have always said, to clear the fraction. So this is a fraction here, r, the denominator. So I can use it to multiply through so that the fraction will go. So let's try that approach. So if I multiply through by r, I'm going to get rt, that's here, equal to r multiplying this will give me only 3p. Then plus r multiplying this will give me rs. And so the next thing is gather the r's to one side, just as I said here. So you gather the r's to one side. So this will give me RT. This one coming will be RS equal to 3P. Okay, so the next factorize R. So we have T minus S equal to 3P. Therefore, if you divide both sides by this coefficient now, our R alone will be 3P all over T minus S as your solution. And then another person could choose to get the LCM first and then cross multiply. So to do that, you have that T is equal to 3p plus s, here is over r. This s is over 1. So LCM is going to be r. So r into r is 1 times 3p is 3p plus 1 into r is r times s is rs. And so my t is here. So if we cross multiply, remember that this t is over 1. So t times r will be rt equal to 1 times this will be 3p plus rs. And you can clearly see that this is exactly the same thing we got here when we multiplied through by r. So by implication, the approach of multiplying through by the denominator here proves to be a little bit easier than going to look for LCM. So, but either ways, you will always get the correct answer. All right, and so that is where we said to end it for this video. Now, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel, give a thumbs up if you like what we've done, and then try to give us the solution for this in the comment section. We will see you in our next video. Bye.